Welcome to the Let's Talk Politics Alabama podcast with your host, Daniel Stover and Russ Sanders, where we take a look at Alabama politics like a drive down I-65 from North Alabama to the state capital in Montgomery and all the way to the Sugar Sand Coast.
I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience.
We choose truth over facts.
I don't want to speak negatively. I said, though, that if I lose this election, maybe I'll end up moving to Alabama.
Someone has once said that actually, as long as there are final exams, there will be prayer in schools.
Well, howdy, Russ. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Fair to middling, I guess. Can't complain. Nobody listen.
That's right.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Let's Talk Politics Alabama podcast. Y'all just got to put up with me and Russ tonight. You know, I will say I fell down on my job and I did not get any guests booked for this week. So, but we're working hard on next week. I'm kind of fishing. I got some good worms to fish with, so hopefully we'll have
some army worms out of my yard.
Well, I noticed there's a lot of those in your pool.
Yes.
But I think they came from my garden. So, but doing a little fishing. I hope to have the most influential radio host in Alabama on with us next week, Mr. Jeff Poor. Jeff and I have become pretty good friends, and you know, there's probably not. I might actually talk to him about as much as I talk to you, Russ. So, anyways, so we're not going to really cover anything major, earth-shattering this week. We will have an announcement toward the end of the podcast that may get a few people excited. I know Russ is just sitting on the edge of his seat about it. So, let's start out with what's going on in Afghanistan. You know, I'm not military, but as you can see up there, my dad was. He spent 23 and a half years in the Air Force, and I'll tell you, it makes me sick what I'm seeing with how we've left Afghanistan. Not going to put any blame at anybody's feet. That's not for me to decide, but you know, whoever made the decision of exiting in that way, I just don't think it was a good idea. But moreover, I think it's done a disservice to our military and left a lot of our guys that served in Iraq, Afghanistan, you know, for the past 20 years, have left them in a position where they're feeling just like our Vietnam vets have. And Russ, I know you said last week that, you know, hey, guys, yeah, politicians made some bad decisions. And that was the same thing that happened in Vietnam. And it left a whole bunch of our soldiers just almost feeling like they didn't have a purpose. And I don't want those people that have served in Afghanistan to, hey, nice radio, Russ.
Oh, Scanner Land.
We're going to start the Lawrence County Scanner Live, right? But I don't want those guys feeling that same way. Russ, I know you served in Iraq. I don't know if you were in Afghanistan any or not, but, you know, your sacrifice doesn't go unnoticed. That, you know, for the last 20 years, we've been fighting war over there instead of here. Here we are coming up on September 11th, and we should all understand what that sacrifice that our military has made in the last 20 years has gone to stop something like that from happening again.
I was active duty, but now I'm in the guard, so I can't comment too much on anything. I'm not going to. I'll put it that way. I will say that I was listening to the media, listening to news outlets and all that. I think it's very important for people to have a basic understanding of like a few things. I think people need to understand. I heard a lot of people say, well, 13 soldiers was killed, 13 Marines was killed, or what have you, or whatever mixture of that. People need to understand that there's a difference between a Marine, a soldier, an airman, a sailor, a corpsman, whatever. You just need to know the difference between that. And if you don't know what the makeup is, what the breakdown is of a group of people that are in the military, you can just refer to them as service members. I've just heard a lot of stuff going out there, and especially when we're talking about deaths of that many service members, we just need to be clear. And the last thing we'd want to do is be disrespectful in any way. So I just noticed that a lot. And I talked to some veteran friends of mine of multiple branches. They're like, well, why'd they say that? So I think we just need to be cognizant of that, if you will.
Yeah. And you got to think, you could have Army, Navy, Marines, possibly Air Force, all on the ground right there in that area, all at the same time. You can't say 100% what the makeup of that group of soldiers are there. So, yeah.
I've been in a truck on a mission with Air Force, Navy, Army, and State Department, all in the same vehicle.
So the State Department guy was the sacrificial lamb, right? All right. All jokes aside, all of y'all veterans out there, whether you served in Afghanistan, Iraq, or during peace times, we greatly appreciate your service. That's the reason we can sit here and do our podcast, because we live in a free nation that allows us to do that. And it's those people's sacrifice that have assured that for us. So, but in that same aspect, Russ, you and I are sitting here doing this podcast in the middle of a hurricane.
Mm-hmm. I think Ida's going strong.
Yep, I don't care. A lot of jokes there.
Yeah.
But right now, I like to use Vinci Sky, and right now it's showing that the center of Ida is kind of north of Jackson, and it looks like we've got some winds up in northwestern Mississippi there, hitting the upper 40s still. So it's not over. Our prayers and thoughts go out to those that have been affected along the path of Ida. And there's still more to come. And we're sitting here. Yeah, we're not going to get any real major issues from it, except for we may end up with some tornadoes that spin up off of it. Our major thing right now is going to be flooding. And if you don't have, let me see if I can pull it up here right quick. I'm going to put a plug in for our county right quick. Maybe. There we go.
Public safety app.
Yeah. Public safety app. If you're not using it, this gives you direct link to our EMA. As you can see, you can get your pistol permit renewed on there, which, hey, I need to talk to your dad about.
Jail roster, who's in jail?
Yep.
Sex offender notification, sex offender registry.
The EMA section list school closing, emergency preparedness, damage reports, county contacts, road conditions, where the shelters are. And then, of course, there's a social media area that allows you to see what's going on. But right now, you can also see scrolling across the bottom right there where it's talking about the flash flood warning that we're under. So, hey, if you're in Lawrence County and you don't have this downloaded, good thing to go get downloaded. It's free, don't cost you anything. I think it's been a good thing that our county has put some money into to have done. So there's my 5-second take on that. So we're looking at getting some more rain. We're in an area that hey, we live in Moulton, and there's not going to be a whole lot of flooding here. And what it does flood, it'll go on down the creek and into the valley down there. Hopefully Cortland and Hillsborough and them don't get any major issues being a little bit lower than us. But just remember the people that are not so fortunate down there. I know I saw some video from Gulf Shores where it was already flooded down there. A lot of your condos and stuff already had water up in the parking garages. I saw another video from over in Louisiana. I think at Houma, Louisiana. Was it Houma?
Mhm.
Took pretty hard hit. I saw video of some roofs that come off. I saw a news headline of a major jazz icon area that was hit. I'm not that big into jazz, so I'm not 100% sure what that was. But you know, we're fortunate to not necessarily to have to worry about a lot of that hurricane stuff. So, but I know, Russ, there's a possibility you could be called up to head south to help with some of that, I guess.
Yeah, the National Guards and stuff, they because people don't understand, like the federal troops can't go participate in stuff like that. As if it's stateside, generally that's the National Guard's responsibility. You know, you would see National Guard deploying Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever, but their main purpose is to protect and serve the homeland. They're citizen soldiers. And so a lot of times with hurricane response, they'll augment EMAs, things of that nature. Like during COVID, they did, they augmented ADPH and delivered goods and products. So the Guard has a big logistical train behind it in every state, and they're able to get assets to people that need them. So there's always a good chance, we could have some tornadoes break out in Alabama, and they augment some of those areas with National Guard personnel. But usually that's going to be, I'd love to get Chris Waldrop on here one day, but like they have to send in requests for assistance, and then the state emergency managers decide, hey, can we send more troopers there to take care of that, or can we send this other asset? And then generally speaking, the last asset they'll send is the Guard. So, can't necessarily just throw the Guard into somewhere. They have to go through the proper channels and resources to get that. But yes, anytime the Guard routinely does that.
So what you're saying is that you're possibly Governor Ivy's errand boy.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, again, appreciate what you do, and I know if that does happen, all of the people here in Lawrence County will be praying for you and wishing you safe travels there. Speaking of the South, though, our friend Josh Woods that was on with us a couple weeks ago down in the Mobile area, he didn't win, but in Alabama, you've got to have 50% plus one to win outright. And Josh ended up in a runoff between his challenger Scott Jones, and I know there's a Scott Jones over in Tuscumbia, not him. Scott Jones ended up with 43.5%, and Josh ended up with 37.6%. So, let's see, about 350 votes separated them there. So,
Well,
hope that, I'm not sure when their runoff will be. I'm sure it's coming up. I want to think it's 30 or 60 days out that they can do the runoff, according to the not Secretary of State, but Alabama's Constitution, I believe, regulates that.
there's more of a vote. I don't think Moulton had 350 people vote in the last municipal election, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, even the guy that came in last in the District 6 council race ended up with 433 votes, 7.5%. So, even their city council districts are bigger than our Moulton elections, I guess. So
That's bigger than some that's bigger than some of our people that vote in county commission districts.
well, yeah, I know. What is it? One of the voting precincts out in up towards Bankheads
Yep.
only got like 20 people that vote there total. And we want to get Greg Dutton on here to talk a little bit more about that and how that whole process goes on. But you got to give those people have the right to vote, and as a county, state, federal government, we have to take and provide them with a place to go vote in their area. So, all right. Well, I noticed that the school system was shut down last week, and then they went back to school this week, and they're shut down tomorrow because of Ida. But a little something changed overnight there when we decided to go back. Everybody's going back to having to wear a mask while you're inside the building. I know I have to do that at work. I'm not sure what the courthouse policy is up there at the DA's office, but it's an ounce of prevention for our COVID issues. If you haven't noticed, the numbers have been going up, but they've also been going down and up and down and up and down. Russ, what's the protocol up there at the courthouse while I look up the COVID numbers?
The presiding judge will make the policy, but I believe it's up to the county commission because they run the courthouse. But usually the presiding judge will make a judgment on mass procedures in the courthouse. Right now, there isn't a mask requirement in the courthouse. It's just per county policy, whatever they want, plus I usually just go with the most strictest of guidance, but right now there's no mask requirement in the courthouse that I'm aware of.
As of yesterday, Alabama, new cases as of yesterday, 3,433. Now, we had a little bit of a scare at work, and it cleared out one corner of the office building because of one guy that ended up having COVID. And luckily, nobody else there at work ended up having any issues with it. But, we do have to be cautious about that. I know. We've got a lot of different thoughts on it. Russ and I probably don't even agree on half the stuff when it comes to COVID, but I will encourage people to, think about your neighbors. I kind of look at it from my Christian walk of, I'm going to do this to, If it comes down to wearing a mask, I'm gonna do it because, you know, I love Russ as my Christian brother, and I want to protect him. Uh, you know, a lot of people are having some heartburn over that. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions on it. My sister and I don't even agree on it. I found out that last
My
week while
sister
she
and I
was
don't
visiting.
agree on anything.
Well, yeah, I know that. But anyways, Russ, what you got to say on that?
Uh, disclaimer: I'm not a medical professional by any stretch of the imagination.
I could have sworn you were.
So don't.
Come on.
This is not medical advice, but where I disagree probably with Daniel is I think it's a good idea to wear a mask in a hospital. If you want to wear a mask, that's fine. If you want to wear a mask, I think that, you know, right now in hospitals, we should wear a mask till we get this thing figured out. And I don't think it's not like we go in hospitals every day unless you're in the medical field. And seems like the medical people want you to wear, you know, masks more than non-medical people. But I've also seen medical people on the other side that says, you know, what have you. Anyways, I think that you should be required to wear a mask, like in a nursing home, hospital, things of that nature. I think the school is a case-by-case basis, and there's smart people that work in the school system, and I don't have an opinion on that. I think that the local leadership should be making those decisions based off what they believe. They're elected people to make those decisions. They should make those decisions. But as far as the rest of, I don't think that everybody's going to be like, I don't think that I think the government would be more successful in getting people to wear a mask by asking them and giving a clear, concise message of what they want, other than the mixed messages we've seen. Just for instance, the COVID vaccination. Everybody that ran for president said, you know, there ain't no way I'm taking that Trump vaccine because Trump's president. And the same people you see like side by side screenshots of their Twitter feeds. And it's like, when Trump's president, let's not take the vaccine because Trump's crazy and he's just trying to win political points. Now it's those same people now, if you don't take this vaccine, you hate everybody and you're so selfish and you want to kill everybody and you're just a crazy anti-vaxxer. I believe that people should have the right to make their own medical decisions. Number one. Number two, this drug hasn't been out there a long time, like the flu vaccine and a lot of that other stuff. So if people's a little cautious about it or a little concerned with it, they have a right to be concerned about it. And I don't believe that the government should tell you should have to get a vaccine. I don't think that the government should require you to wear a mask. However, if you're a private place, your own thing that you put your own money in, or this organization, but then they want you to wear a mask in their business, that's their right because it's a private entity. But I don't believe that if you don't want to shop there, then don't shop there. I don't think that the government should say, well, a private entity can't do that. That's a counterintuitive argument to say, well, I don't want the government to tell me what I can and can't do. Well, on the same side, I don't think the government should tell a private entity they can't require somebody to wear a mask. I think you either got to be, I don't think you can be supportive of the government getting involved in private business. You either are or you aren't. So there's that. But if I'm around somebody that's forced to be around me due to my employment job and they're wearing a mask, or they mentioned it, I might ask them if they'd be more comfortable wearing a mask. That's my personal choice. Hey, do you want me to wear a mask? Would you feel better? I'm personally vaccinated. I think the vaccination is a good thing, but I think that the mixed messaging from top to bottom is really what made people not want to take the vaccine and not want to wear a mask. And I think that we're missing, and I know I'm going long-winded here, Daniel, but I think that we're messing up by not studying the second and third order effects of masks. For instance, investigating crimes. You know, used to somebody walk into a bank wearing a mask, hey, they're fixing to rob it. Now you got people cashing checks, payroll checks, forging checks, wearing masks. You ain't got a clear identity on the camera. You got people assaulting people, shoplifting. I mean, it's just the Ring doorbell where they're trying to break in your house. There's a lot of that. Used to, if somebody's wearing a mask, that draw your attention. Now it's normal. I think we don't think about things like that. And then our children, how's that affecting them psychologically? I think there's a lot to be said with that. And then I noticed I've been out probably more than a lot of people because I've been out of the country at least once. I've been to out of state multiple times and been around people. And when I'm interacting with people, it's like social skills are affected because we've been wearing masks. I went during the height of all the first round of everything, and people wouldn't make eye contact with you. They was acting shy. It was like people wasn't as confident to talk to you because they didn't have a mask. Or I'm saying because they was wearing a mask, and then they took off the mask, and they're kind of like almost like they're shy, if you will. I think it's affected the way we communicate. I think if you're hard of hearing, a lot of times you'll read people's lips. People have on masks, you're not reading their lips. I find myself asking people to repeat stuff more. And they're talking loud, but I think a lot of our nonverbal communication as a society is diminished. I think in my opinion, there's a lot of damage to people's health by wearing a mask. And that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, and hey, everybody's entitled to that. We're not going to stifle that one way or the other. The thing is, it's just like when we first started our podcast here. Hey, we can agree to disagree. We don't have to hate each other over it. But there's a lot of those points that I agree with you on. The whole communication gap there. It's. I know we go to church with someone that if it wasn't for his cochlear implants, he would be deaf. He does a lot of lip reading. When he's in school, if he was not able to see the teacher's mouth, he would lose a lot of that. Mask is definitely an issue when it comes to that. We just got to be smart about it. That's my main thing. I don't think we should be making everybody wear one. It should be your choice. But in that same aspect, encouragement of, hey, if you're going to be in close quarters with somebody, do it. Do it for your safety and for their safety. And as far as, the government, this is my opinion. Russ may not agree with this, but, we go back to what Governor Ivey done with the mask mandate statewide. I think she done the best job she could. It's really a no-win battle there. But in the end, she spent 2 or 3 months asking people to wear a mask. And very, very few. Hey, we all went out. We all saw very few people were wearing a mask. Once that mask mandate went into effect, that changed. You went to Walmart and you saw everybody wearing a mask. Like I said, Russ may not agree with me on this, but I believe we saw the COVID numbers go down at that point. I've even said myself, when it comes to winter, fall, when flu season is around, maybe it's not a bad idea to be wearing a mask. Maybe it can cut down on some of that flu transmission, not even thinking about COVID. Just the flu transmission. Nobody wants the flu either. Like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's our opinions.
I do have an added opinion.
No, you don't get to do that.
What?
You have an opinion?
So I think that probably mask mitigated it to a certain extent, but I think that we as a society, I think people in general are becoming more risk adverse, meaning they won't take as much risk. And some people take a crazy amount of risk, but it's always the safest thing for somebody to say, well, do the safest thing. You know, we could wear gas masks, we could wear a bubble suit, we could wear, instead of wearing seat belts, we wear a 5-point harness as a helmet and weld a cage in our car. Less likely to get killed in a car accident if we have a cage and more advanced airbags and 5-point safety harness. I think that we can take it too far. And then I would also say that I don't believe that just because correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation, meaning also, you know, we had the big spike, nobody's wearing masks, then all of a sudden people wearing masks and the COVID numbers drop, but you also had more people getting vaccinated. You had more people becoming educated on how to prevent from getting it. You also had hospitals getting better, messaging getting better about how to get away from people, or not necessarily get away from people, but how it spreads, the vaccines. And then now we're seeing the numbers go back up because, you know, and some will argue that's because, you know, the mask mandate's lifted, but you also got kids getting back in school. Like, so where your kids, more kids is having COVID, well, more kids are getting tested because that a lot of those kids didn't show symptoms if they had it before because they're young and healthy otherwise. But now, you know, some of these schools are, you know, a kid has a little sniffles. Otherwise, we wouldn't think it's nothing. Hey, go take you a Tylenol allergy and go back to school. Now it's, hey, let's test him for COVID. And I think that's why our COVID numbers are going back up, because more kids are getting tested.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with that because, like you said, the least little sniffle, everybody runs to go get the COVID test.
Mhm.
You know, that's just like I've wondered. Some other friends and I have talked about this, but a friend of mine at church, she said that she works at the doctor's office. She said whenever somebody would call and say, "Hey, I've got these symptoms," first thing they'd do is say, "Go get a COVID test." Nowhere in that did they say, "Well, you need to have flu test as well." It was just straight to COVID, you know, and that's one reason why, if you go look at the numbers for the flu this past year, they were really, really, really low.
Mhm.
And that's because everybody was getting tested for COVID and if you didn't have COVID, well, okay, well, you got the flu. Okay, but they never were officially tested for that. So that never got recorded. So, you know, there's a whole lot of factors to put into this. And, you know, hey, like I said, this is our opinions, you know, and I may not like Russ's opinion. I may just, you know, just knock him out if I need to, you know, but it's, let's not fight over it. You know, we can all have our own opinions. We don't need to take and, you know, trample on somebody else's. We can sit and have a rational conversation about it. You and I are right now.
I'm around some people that feel more comfortable if I have a mask on. So I'll put a mask on when I'm around that person.
Yeah.
If I'm around somebody that takes care of an elderly person, I try to stay further away from them because I'm around a lot of people. I try not to cough. I'm a little more cognizant about washing my hands, you know, turning away to cough. You know, I don't want nobody to get, I don't hate everybody, but I'm not going to be paralyzed or crippled, if that makes sense.
Well, my sister did make one good point, and I will admit that. I don't do that very often, but I'll admit that one. She said that COVID has taught us how little cleanliness we actually were. You know, honestly, I'm not a germaphobe, but you know, I go into the bathroom, do my business, and I've seen people go straight from the urinal back out the door. And it's like not touching the door handle. You know, wash my hands, you know, get my paper towel, dry my hands, open the door, hold it with my foot, and toss it back into the trash can. You know, not a germaphobe, but, you know,
That's people.
We could do a little bit better at times.
Yeah.
You know, water and soap does not hurt. Okay.
And I think some private companies did some good things. Like some stores had like certain hours where they would have like, some of that most vulnerable population, like the elderly people, and stuff shop during that certain time. So maybe younger people that probably more socialites wouldn't be potentially contaminating them. I think they did some extra cleaning procedures. So I think some private companies did some great things. I think that doesn't hurt nobody's feeling.
Well, and going back, let's rewind for just a second. Back to your thought though on stuff with crime and everything. So I agree with you that has changed some things, but there's also been maybe some good things that come out of that too from that. And part of that is we've stopped being open 24 hours a day. You go to Walmart now and they close at like 10, I think. They open back up at 6.
Well, it has to do with a lot of people not wanting to work, but
I wish they would open just a touch earlier. It's kind of hard on us, that people that go to work early. We like to stop at Walmart on the way, get my supplies for the week. But that being said, part of that's going to help in that crime area because you're not having so much exposure to the criminals.
Mhm.
Just hey, that's a little tiny nugget. If we were on a gold mining show, that would just be a little flake, But so maybe there's some good out of that. Now, I will say this: there is nothing open in Decatur after 8 p.m. anymore, and that's kind of annoying. I mean, there's more stuff open in Moulton than there is in Decatur after 8 p.m. We found out that last weekend.
So the best place on earth, anyways. March County is.
God's country, man. God's country. So, anyway, all right. Well, we can sit here and talk about that all night.
Hey, here's another random verbal communication thing. So think about picking a jury and a jury people wearing a mask or listening to a witness on a stand as a mask. You can't judge a body language or a stenographer. I think that's the term. It's usually a person that sits there and does the transcripts for court.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of reading lips and things of that nature. But a jury judging people if they're telling the truth or not, like a witness. There's a lot of things associated with the mask wearing.
Well, I mean, I watch, and I know I'm going off down a rabbit hole here, but I watch the show Bull, and he's a criminal crime scientist, I guess is what they call him. But his whole thing is being able to listen to jurors, watch their body language, all that. Well, you got attorneys that are doing that too. It's not just on a TV show. Your attorneys are watching their body language. They're watching people how they refer to something, to say, yeah, that I think that juror is acceptable, whatever, and yeah, like you're saying, and that mask changes everything. So anyway, all right. Well, let's go back over here to politics for just a minute, as we try to wind things down. Do what?
This is a nasty subject, but I guess it's the focal point of what we talk about on here.
Well, hey, politics is not fun. Oh, you meant COVID. All right. Well, let's roll back over here to politics for just a minute as we kind of wind things down for the week. There's a story on Yellowhammer News, and I'm sure I just butchered that, getting tongue-tied there. But on Yellowhammer News, Polling shows Brooks leading race for U.S. Senate, Britt gaining ground, holding a distant second. Well, I know, let's see, it says here that Brooks is leading with 40.8% over Katie Britt, who's coming in second with 17.7. And then there's a couple more on down there, Jessica Taylor and Linda Blanchard, that aren't hardly pulling. They ain't even pulling a full number hardly. 3% and 1.6%. But here's the bigger thing. On those numbers, there's still 31.8% that remains undecided.
Is that a lot historically?
Well, it can be. It depends on their polling sample that they've got, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But of those polled, 31.8 remain undecided. But 60.7% of undecided voters are going to go with whoever Trump endorses. Well, that's Mo Brooks, of course. You were at the Trump rally.
Pretty big endorsement by Trump on Brooks.
Yeah. Even though I heard that there was some issues with Brooks almost got booed off stage for some comments though too. So I don't know if I would put 100% behind that polling and say, yeah, that's 100% the way it's going to go. Hey, there's still a lot of time left.
Now, a lot of that could have been the fact that it rained pretty heavy beforehand. They'd been waiting to see Trump, knew that he was right, that Trump was right after just go on so we can see Trump. I think there was some of that, and then you have some people that just ain't gonna be happy with anybody that had a few things to say. But
I thought that was you that's never happy.
Always happy.
I love my little minion sound effects there. So anyways, that being said, I guess that brings us to our announcement, Russ.
Yeah.
You want to say it, or you want me to?
Mo Brooks is coming to the Republican meeting next Thursday.
I guess that settles that. I didn't know you were that excited.
Which will be the
September 9th.
September the 9th.
Yep.
Mo Brooks, pretty big name person coming,
Yep. And we're working on trying to get him on our podcast too. I've been in touch with them. I've been in touch with Katie Britt's people. We're working on both of those, trying to get both of them on with us. So, hey, that'd be pretty big for us. Trying to get Katie Britt to our Republican meeting as well. So, that being said, if you're interested, we welcome everybody to come to the Republican meeting. But there's kind of an issue of we only have so much room. So even though everybody's welcome, don't get mad if we go, hey, there's no more room left. And Russ will be handling security there. So we'll get the sheriff over there to handle it. But, we don't want to cause any trouble at Mel's, because that's where we meet. And we've got to make sure that Mel knows that, hey, this is coming. But I say
great food and good people at Mel's.
That's right.
I throw a plug in for them. So they always get me a ribeye sandwich. Great. Big old glass of sweet tea. They treat us right, and they're nice people.
Absolutely. Couldn't ask for better accommodations there. They kind of let us, just kind of have the back room most of the time, or when it gets cold, when it starts getting cooler, we'll move back upstairs. But we're in that back room back there right now, past the salad bar. Hey, salad bar number 1. But there's only so many people that can fit in there, and we want to be real cognizant of that and not overload that room. Hey, I don't want to be standing room only, but you're welcome to come. So, all right, Russ, you got anything else?
I don't have anything.
Oh, well, there's one thing that we must do, and I am not prepared for it. So, we'll have to look it up here. Let's see. All right. Russ, what do you call what's brown and sticky?
I don't know.
A stick.
That's definitely a dad joke. Definitely a dad joke.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us for tonight. Hope you enjoyed sitting around and listening to us to kind of talk about COVID and Afghanistan. Mo Brooks coming to Lawrence County. I said, come on out and join us next Thursday night, the 9th. Be glad to have you. Want you to come get involved with us too. So, that being said, if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching. Make sure that you click that like button, give us that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and ring that bell so that you get notifications whenever we make our uploads. We try to do it on Fridays, but every once in a while that falls through. Also, if you're listening to us on any of the podcast streaming services, make sure you give us a 5-star. That helps us out as we try to grow this and try to bring you more entertaining, more guests. Hey, we're just two country boys from Lawrence County trying to do something that's not necessarily mainstream here. So, but anyway, all right. Well, until next time, y'all be safe. Russ, I give you the last word.
Be careful.